Let's get stuck into the week's top stories with Liberal Senator Alex Antic. Alex, great to see you. I want to talk about tariffs with you. Are they terrifying, as some wag put it? Will they lead to World War Fee, as the New York Post says? Or are they a long overdue correction of the corrupted globalist world trade system, in your opinion?
Well, yeah, Rowan, good intro and good questions. I mean, ultimately, we don't want any imposts being put on our businesses and our producers, but let's just all take a deep breath on this and remind ourselves that the person doing this is the President of the United States of America, not the President of Australia, and he's a strong man, he's a strong leader. And to a certain extent, I think we have to look down the pipe and say, well, what is the benefit long term of having a strong United States, which is what he is trying to do, trying to bring money back into the United States and trying to, therefore, pump the tyres of our closest ally. Now, I get it. I don't want Australian farmers hurting. And if we had a stronger leader here, he would actually get his phone calls answered by Donald Trump, which apparently is not the case at the moment. The president apparently won't even pick up the phone to the Prime Minister. But ultimately, we have to expect that the President of the United States is going to flex where he can for his people. I mean, I think this is the point. We need a Prime Minister that will do the same thing. Peter Dutton will get a phone call answered from Donald Trump. Anthony Albanese doesn't seem to be, maybe he's not pressing the right buttons on the phone. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I want to pick you up on a couple of points there. I like what you said. The Americans should be looking after America first, and a strong American, a global economy where America is the powerhouse, got to be a far better option than a global economy where China is the economic powerhouse. I think that's an important point. But I also want to say a couple of things, Alex. Firstly, according to the National Farmers Federation, the European Union has a 32% tariff on Australian dairy, 27% and 19% on sugar and meat, which is effectively a 31 billion tariff on Australian products. The 10%, this is what I was kind of confused when I saw Donald Trump's thing with Australia has 10% tariffs. What he's referring to is, of course, the GST. And the GST, although it puts 10% on everybody's prices, it puts 10% on America's prices. So a lot of what people don't understand, that what Donald Trump is talking about with tariffs is actually government taxes on products. And he points to the VAT in Europe, which is up to 22% on products. So, for example, you can buying a Mercedes costs a lot more in Germany than it does in America, weirdly. So he's trying to reverse the whole global system to get away from what has been called the kind of world-based order, which is actually rigged in favour, where many countries have tariffs or GSTs or whatever, taxing products. So do you think Australians really understand what is at stake with the tariffs, or is it all going to play out over the next few months?
Well, look, I don't think there is, and I think it's being driven by a media, with yourself being excluded from this, with a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, we're seeing articles all over the country at the moment saying, if you respect Donald Trump, you cannot be, a proud Australian. Well, what a lot of nonsense that is. All of this would evaporate, of course, Rowan, if we were self-sufficient in this country, if we had our own fuel production, if we had our own gas production facilities, the sort of things that Peter Dutton is talking about. And if we had a defence industry that was self-sufficient. I mean, if we could put a ring around this country and live regardless of what was going on in the rest of the world, that sounds all right to me.
Absolutely. And a key to that, obviously, Alex, particularly in the state that you represent, South Australia, is nuclear energy. And nuclear energy would and will be an amazing boon for not only South Australia, but for all Australians in terms of defence, in terms of cheaper energy and so on. The coalition is committed to nuclear. The Prime Minister Albanese was out campaigning in the Hunter region yesterday and used it to have a crack at nuclear. Have a listen.
I was in Young Labor at the time when that earthquake devastated this community. Since then, as well, as you know, this is the last place that you'd put a nuclear reactor.
So, Alex, there is the Prime Minister playing undergraduate politics, Chernobyl-style scaremongering about modular nuclear power plants in the Hunter. This is disgraceful, tawdry stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Rowan, we're actually talking about one of the cheapest and safest forms of power you can get when done in the way we're proposing. This is actually been the subject of only 3 incidents over the last 60, 70 years. And on each occasion, there have been almost no deaths except for Chernobyl, where there were, I think, 30 or 40 poor firefighters who were sent into the elephant's foot when day after the thing melted down. So it's completely wrong to be suggesting this is not safe, and to be running those sort of scare campaigns is completely and utterly unfair and unreasonable. More people die as a result of renewable power, people climbing up on roofs and falling off because of solar panels. That's the sort of thing the Prime Minister should be talking about. And here in South Australia, we've got 80% of the country's uranium. This is going to be a very good thing for South Australia. I was a very young child when all the protests about Roxby Downs were going on and the uranium mining in the 80s. And imagine if South Australia didn't have that project now. We're leading into another version of that. This has got to go ahead. Nuclear power will be excellent for Australia. Cheap, safe and effective, to coin the phrase.
Alex Antic, Liberal Senator there for South Australia. Good luck in the election coming up for the Coalition. And thanks so much for coming on the show, Alex.